Everybody knows my story that when I was younger, I had a lot of odds and ends jobs. I would be considered a dirtbag. If you were to look at my childhood, look, I had my first kid at 16 years old, got a woman pregnant at 15. I had my second set of kids still at the age of 16, back to back. I'm not joking. Really bad decisions. You could say that it falls on my father, say that it falls on my mother. My mother wasn't really much in my life. She was a go-go dancer. So at 15 years old, it was all about getting coochie. Look, I dropped out of school, and how many girlfriends can I get? And that's exactly what I did. I tested my limits. And at 15, I was working at Middlesex County Fair, and I found my first older girlfriend that had a vehicle. Her name was Tina. And then we knocked the boots probably twice, 3 times. She got pregnant. First kid was born, Kane, April. And then I'm still 15 at that point, right? And then 16 years old, as soon as she was pregnant with them, the kids were born that following January. Okay, so back to back, 7-month stretch, 8-month stretch, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, January. 9 months, literally. So I'm 16 years old, I have to get a job. I have to do something. I have to support this woman, even though I can't get hit with child support because I'm not an adult yet. 16 years old, I'm working at English Town selling Pepsi. Pepsi, like I pushed a Pepsi cart around and I would tell people to get ice cold Pepsi here. It's like a flea market, but it's outside. And you walk around and you sell Pepsi and that's it. And it was like on tap. It wasn't a matter of like canned or bottled. As much as that would have made sense, even the Pepsi that we sold wasn't really Pepsi. And the Coke that we sold wasn't really Coke. It was like some off-brand bullshit. And it would come in these tubes. So that's what I did. I did that every summer. I would ride my moped there. But I just could not hold on to a job, no matter what. So I ended up becoming a born-again Christian at about 17 years old. I found this kid that was very thuggish. Sean was his name. He had a mole on his face, goatee, but wear big earrings, and I just couldn't understand how that could have anything to do with Jesus. And he introduced me to a place at Old Bridge. I'm going somewhere with the story. And I knew that my life was going nowhere, right? I'm a minor trying to look for jobs. I didn't know what I want to do. I dropped out of school. I'm not going to college. I don't even have a diploma. I have nothing. So he says, you come by the chapel one day and they're going to talk about the Lord. And I did that. I became born again. I started crying in the church. I feel like Jesus talked to me. And I still had no direction in life. None. Zero. So he was like, I got a buddy out of Freehold, New Jersey. It's about 25, 30 minutes away from where we were at the time. I got a buddy that sells colognes. That's interesting. And what we do is we go over there, we talk to the guy, and we go in a van, and we go to these areas where it's a lot of shops, and we try to sell them off-label colognes. Interesting. So I only did this for a very short period of time in my life. So we go to this, we had to go to a class where we had to learn what different fragrances were for the compatibility reasons. Like, for instance, for obsession would be obsession. It wouldn't be called that. It would be called like number 12 or number 15. And then youth would be like number 17. You had to name these and know what the reference point was to compare them to others. Keep in mind that this is when you would go to Macy's or JCPenney's and colognes were like $300-$400. Now they're still expensive, $150 depending on the brand. $150, you could get colognes that are like $30. I still have a bottle from when I worked at that company. It has made it through all these years of when I was 17 years old, all the traveling that I've done, going overseas, I still have those. So anyway, he was like, you know what? Well, we'll do this. So we did it for about 2 days. What they would do is they would pack up these like school vans. You've seen them. Not a bus, it's a van. You kind of put wheelchairs on them. So we'd pack up these vans with about 15 people, and we would go to main streets of towns, and we would all come out of the van with a box. And inside this box, we'd have like 15 colognes. And what we would do is we would sell those colognes to businesses. Not for businesses to sell, but for businesses to use, like store owners to use them as personal use. And it was funny because this morning we were talking about it over in AP about how, colognes can be super expensive. So I ended up doing that for, I don't know, 2-3 days. And I made somewhere upwards of $300-$400. The amount of people that did not want to buy authentic versions that we're going to call them clones just for lack of better verbiage or vernacular. So they would buy these clones. And then there was an opportunity that what you could do is if you did well enough that after a week of selling, you got promoted and then you got more per sale. And the more that you sold, the more that you made. So instead of making $3 an hour, I think it was $2.85 an hour plus commission, now they bump you up to $3.50. And then as you sell more, you eventually make $15 an hour and then no commission. But that's the goal. So after 3 days, I hit like tier 3 of the pay grades, and it went to like tier 7 or something. I said, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for a living. And then I went on to work at Wendy's. And then I went on to work at gas stations in Freehold. Now, keep in mind, I was in Old Bridge. I know some of you don't know anything about New Jersey, but Old Bridge to Freehold it's not a quick trip. Okay, it's 20, 25 minutes, but I didn't have a car. I didn't have a license. I made bad choices growing up, like bad. I wasn't able to get my driver's license until I was 26 years old. The reason why is because I've told you this story. The first time that I drove a vehicle for the first time, I was with my buddy Josh Needham down in Point Pleasant, and he had a Nissan B2000, the kind that they make the lowriders. And he was drinking, and he was like, look, Johnny is what I went by at that time, not Baby J or anything. He's like, Johnny, look, you have to drive. And I've never driven a stick before, never driven a vehicle. I mean, my mom's car, Cadillac in a parking lot, but never actually drove it. He was like, you got to drive it back. I don't know how to drive a fucking transmission truck. So it's like, you better figure it out because I'm drunk. What's better, a drunk driver or an underage, unlicensed driver? You pick it. I'm going to go with the underage. At least then he's cognitive and he can treat it like an oversized go-kart. So I learned how to drive and I got my license suspended before I was even 18 years old. So got that suspended at 17 17, not 18. And then I drove again after that, the same truck for the same reason. I got it suspended again. This way I was driving on a suspended license that I didn't even have a license to begin with. So unlicensed and suspended license. Then they postponed it to 21. Then I got pulled over 2 more times. And if I would have got pulled over 1 more time, I would have went to jail for like 4 years. So anyway, I wasn't able to get a driver's license, but I still maintained all these jobs. I drove my mom's Corsica to Freehold to work at a gas station. Oh, I love that job. One of my favorite jobs of all time. It was nice because Freehold, like on Route 9, was en route to Point Pleasant, Seaside, the Bay Area, Wildwood. Well, I don't know why you would take Route 9 to Wildwood, but you could. And it was all the girls, right, would always stop at this gas station on the corner because it was right by Manalapan. So all those girls are rich. All the girls' parents are rich. So that means they have nice Chrysler LeBarons, and those were nice cars, by the way. BMWs, Mercedes-Benz convertibles. And I would work at this gas station with a knot of cash. Oh, it's putting a huge smile on my face. With a knot of cash. And it made me feel like a fucking baller. And I swear, I'm not joking, bro. I don't know what it was, if it was me that attracted the women to go here, but I never, ever, 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 ever saw dudes, bro. It was always chicks. And I would always work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because I knew Thursday through Saturday, it's going down. All the girls are going down to the Jersey Shore. Just like the show, Jersey Shore, which I've never watched because it's a disgrace to United States and New Jersey. But I would work there, and the amount of women, Karen Watson, Leah Gonaldo, so many women, bro, would go there. And then I was like, you know what? What could I do when I'm off at this job? 10 o'clock, the gas station would close. And then I could just pull an all-nighter, work at the place next to me, and instead of driving home, I could stop working there and then move back to the gas station to work in the morning. Because remember, I was working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there was a Wendy's next door to this gas station. This is a true story. I'm not joking. So I'm there. Now, they weren't 24 hours. They were only open till 3 or 4 a.m. But it was good because I had an opening shift for a cook, a line cook, which is not really It's glorified at Wendy's. Basically, what you do is you don't cook shit. You assemble hamburgers. That is what you do. The burgers are already done. You just put them on a piece of bread, throw some lettuce, maybe some pubes. Anybody seen Shenanigans? Or what was it called? Bennigan's? The one with Ryan Reynolds and Dane Cook? That's what I did till 3 o'clock in the morning. I got the job like next day. I went in for an interview. Boom, you're hired. Can you work tonight? Yes. So I would get off at 10. My shift started at 11, 11 to 3 or 11 to 4. And then I had to work again at 9 o'clock in the morning next door at the gas station till 10 at night the next day. And I would do that. So I wouldn't even go to sleep for 6 hours. I would just kind of hang out at the gas station, hoping somebody would come by and get gas. No one ever did, because all the girls are getting ready, getting all dolled up. Oh, God. I love that job. I love that job so much. I can't tell you how many chicks I banged. You remember the gas stations you would pull up? It was before they had 7-Elevens and Wawas and shit. Okay, this was the 90s, late 90s, where they would have like the cigarettes in a little... Oh, you guys are not from Jersey. You don't know this. So Jersey is still a gas station where they pump your gas for you. I think Oregon was one of the last to get rid of it, but Jersey still has it. So you didn't have like a place to go into to get snacks. The little cube that you sat in is where we would have like the candy bars and shit. It's like, so take your gas station islands that your gas pumps are on, and then there's like a cubicle in the center of those gas pumps. And then that is where I would sit and pump the gas or just wait. And you would have cigarettes. You would have a small fridge like with Gatorades and cigarettes, snacks, like candy bars and potato chips. Not a lot of them. So I would even go in there, and then I would take the money that I would make from the gas station or just steal the money out of the till and just pay for those. I knew the owner. Then girls would come 10 o'clock in the morning. Bro, we had these like no-see-em blinds. They look black from the inside, but because the gas station lights were so bright inside the cubicle, regardless of how black you think those windows are, you could see somebody knocking the boots. Bro, I would, no shit, in a 12-hour shift or 9 to 10, whatever that is. I'm sorry, 10. 10 o'clock. Was it 8 or 10? I think it was 8. 8 in the morning till 10 at night. Yeah, so almost a 14-hour shift. In that 14-hour shift, I would shut that cubicle down at least 10 times out of the day just to bang a chick that was coming to get gas. True story. Makes me wonder how many women got pregnant while I did that. How many babies I got out there. Because I didn't use any protection. None. I would start pumping their gas, and I would say, you want to come up in this cubicle with me real quick? Smelling my fingers. I got those fingerless gloves because I thought I was cool as shit. Basically, you just take a pair of mittens and you just cut the tips off. That's what I was working with. Because I didn't have money for like Alpine Stars and none of that shit. I had mitten money. So, I was making like $5 an hour. Don't judge. So I would get like the little hand-knitted shits or go to like local garage sales in Manalapan. I was like the homeless gas station man that worked at Wendy's. I was dedicated, but I was dedicated for all the wrong reasons. I never made good choices because my goal at the end was to be a millionaire. My goal was how much pussy can I get this week? I swear to God, bro. That is all that I thought about. And that is how you have 4 kids before you're 18 years old. That's how you do it, just like that. And I loved it. I loved it so much. So when I found out that the guy that owned, was it a Shell or a Sunoco? It was yellow. I want to say it was a Shell. I want to say it was. And then when he was selling that from Shell to Amoco, he was like, look, John, you're going to lose your job. All I thought about was, how do I reach out to these girls that would get gas? True story. So you know what I did? I'll tell you what I did. Sold the gas station on a Tuesday. I don't have anywhere to stay. Right? I can't drive back to my mom's right now because even if I go back, I'll never see these girls again. True story. So what I did was I sat in my mom's Corsica at the entrance. Now the gas station's closed, but guess what? I know come Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday, these chicks are going to come by. He didn't tell me I couldn't be on the property, so I would sit inside of my mom's Corsica with the paint all coming off the hood. You remember what would happen in the cars from the 90s. And I would wait for these girls to show up. And I wouldn't bang them. I'd be like, yo, let me get your number. Things are different back then. We had beepers. So I would break into the, God, this is just bad. I would break into the gas station and then page them, right? So I had their number, and then I would steal his pen, and I would write the number on my skin. I can't tell you how many times I'd be sweating my ass off in the middle of the summer in Jersey. And half the number, I used to have to play like Inspector Gadget, how to figure out the rest of their number, because half of it was written. Don't ever write shit on the inside of your hands. Hams works. Don't. Because I promise you that after handling some shit like some sweaty titties, that's gone. So I would write these numbers down, and before you know it, I am dating all of these chicks at the same fucking time from the gas station. All of them. Like 7 of them. But none of them know each other. They're all from Manalapan, but they're in different schools, because girls could go to Freehold, they go to Marlboro. So they're all from different schools, 7, 8 of them, banging all of them. And then, that's when I met Jenny, and the story is history. That's when I joined the military. Again, bad choices, man. Bad choices. And I still find to this day that even at 45 years old, I think I'm 45 or 44, I still make these bad choices on what's the best route for me to go for my end goal for my career. It's probably a little bit too late to figure out my career at this point. It is. It is. Because I can't go work at the gas station and go bang the chicks anymore. For one, we're going to electric vehicles. It's not going to work. The job is outdated. I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting all this pussy. And keep in mind, that growing up, I wasn't the best with the ladies. The ladies loved me because I was good looking. I had pretty eyes, but I wore a lot of Kmart clothes, sweatpants. Fun fact for you. I was the first one to start wearing sweatpants and boots. I'm not being funny. I'm not saying I created it. I'm just saying that out of necessity, that's all that my father would buy me, and people would make fun of me. And then come to find out that early 2000s, that was the style, sweatpants and boots. And I was made fun of in school for that. So I'd get beat up a lot. So me being out of school, dropping out, being able to get coochie that was just being thrown at me, working at a gas station, smelling like motor oil, and gasoline and petroleum, not the jelly. It was a nice different strokes. It was nice. I was able to whatever, and I didn't have to worry about any food because they would bring me like sandwiches and shit. So it was on a plate. But it got to a point where it was so many girls, that I could not juggle them in time, and I had nowhere to live. Like, I could stay with my mom, but she was still kind of go-go dancing, and she was living in Old Bridge, and that was far, and her car was a piece of shit. So it was like, what am I going to do with my life? I mean, I could keep going with the story. Check this. So I know I've told you this story before. This is the same time frame, by the way. My mom had a place in Old Bridge, New Jersey, off of Englishtown Road. Now, same thing. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, these roads would be packed on Englishtown Road. Why? Well, you have Englishtown Flea Market and you have road meets or car meets. Car meets, Lamborghinis, Hondas, you name it. Motorcycles, the swap meet. Anybody ever been to a swap meet where it's like a flea market and it's like they're selling an engine and a knife and a hot dog all at the same place? Doesn't make sense. So Englishtown Road was bumping, bro. Like it's single lane, okay? But the traffic wouldn't move for 5 hours. It's just, and you could just walk down the road and sell bottles of water. Like, you could go to the Krausers, which is like a 7-Eleven, well, it's not a mom and a pop, but you go to Krausers, buy a case of water for $20, not even $15, and then sell each bottle to people waiting in their car going to Raceway Park for $9 a bottle. You are making bank. And my mom was on that. And one day I was looking outside the window. My mom had, those shower windows, the little skinny jams, kind of like you're in prison, but without the bars. So I was looking outside. It was frosted, so you could kind of see outside, but you can't see inside. Plus, there's more light on the outside than there is on the inside, so you could really see more clearly. And there was a blonde chick sitting outside, and her name was Asia, A-J-A. I know, you're going to say, Jay, she's black. No. Mm-mm. She was so country. Well, I'm going to tell you how country and redneck she was. She was hot. She was blonde. She would wear this little white and blue bikini, and she would sit outside and tan. Now, she would tan on the front yard with all these cars, like just essentially parked, waiting to move. One day I got enough balls as I was showering. I got a little chubby because the way she was tanning, she had her legs. She was doing a split. I don't know why you would tan like this. But I can tell you her tan lines were flawless. There wasn't any. Like, it was perfect. So she would do this split where she would kind of straddle the lawn chair, if you will, and then lean forward. So her ass would be towards, you understand, like if you downward facing dog butt with a split, and she would sit out there and tan like that. One day I walked across the street and I was like, do you really get tan like this? She was like, yeah, keep in mind I got all these girlfriends down in Freehold, but I know that they're not coming to my mom's house because of all the traffic. You can't move any which way, so I'm good. And they would always show up, all random times. Erica, Karen, Leah, all of them. Christina. So one day I went over there and I was talking to her, and she was like, yeah, I'm here with my brothers. I was like, that's nice. She's like, yeah, we're from Virginia. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. So you just rent out a house? She's like, yeah, we go to Raceway Park all the time, and my brother's like that. And I was like, that's nice. And she's like, you want to meet up later tonight? I said, sure. She's like, I'll meet you in the front yard. So she lit some citronella candles. I went over there. It must have been about 9 o'clock at night, and we fucked on the lawn chair. Now, there was no traffic. Come to find out, the next day I see her out there with some other dude, and he's tanning. He's not doing a split, but he's tanning with her, and I was like, who's the dude? And I go over there, and she's like, this is my brother. I said, that's okay. Where's the other one? And she's like, he's getting cleaned up. And a couple of days go by. We don't have sex again. We only had sex the one time. She was slippery as shit. Smelled like shea butter and coconut oil. So 3-4 days go by, and now her other brother's out there, and all three of them are out there tanning. So I go by the next night about 9 o'clock. I knock on the door, and the screen door kind of opens, and she's fucking two of the dudes on the couch, which are her brothers. You know me. I get turned on by a little bit of cuckold or voyeurism. So I walk in, and I'm like, can I join you guys? Needless to say, I got punched in the face, and I wasn't able to do anything. But the good thing is I could say that I had sex with a girl that fucked her brothers. I made bad choices. And you know what? I'm here to tell you that it got me better at sex. I know what it's like to fuck your sister. And my own. Never fucked my own sister. I know what it's like to knock the boots with a dude where your balls be doing that clickety-clack shit that they do on shrink discs. I know what that's like. Do you? These are life experiences that you would never, ever, ever be able to do unless you just did not give a shit. So the end of this story and the end of this life lesson is to take risks